Hey guys, and welcome back to some more Factorio sending supporters to space. And today we are going to work on some nuclear power, our first nuclear build. So also, you notice how quickly this actually accumulates extra ore. Now both these are working, they both have the 40 they need cycling through, and this is all the extra we've gotten just between episodes, which has been maybe 15 minutes or so. So you can imagine with like 10 of these working, you get a ton of this stuff, which is good. We're gonna need a lot of nukes and stuff. So I collected materials and we're going to make our first nuclear setup. Now it's only going to be a one reactor setup because these are quite expensive at this stage in the game for me. However, we're going to be able to get about 40 megawatts out of it, which may not seem like much on a large scale, but like, I mean, we're only using 40 megawatts and plus the rest of the steam. So this is gonna, give us probably about 50% more power total with just one reactor. Plus it's really cool. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna need 4 heat exchangers. I'm gonna have to go grab, this is really copper heavy. Like this kind of, I guess this maybe makes up for the extreme iron heavy side of science, because these things take 100 copper a piece, and these heat pipes, holy hell, these heat pipes take 20 copper plate a piece, and then hopes are 4 times that, but like it's expensive. We're gonna need, oh, whoa, nope. We need like 7 turbines, and I'll explain once I start setting it up how I arrive at these numbers, but we need to grab some stuff first because I am not making like 200 pipe and 200 gears by hand. So I also knocked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Luckily these create really quickly. I also knocked out lab efficiency or lab research speed 5, and also changed over our efficiency module build to a productivity one because we have efficiency modules already. In fact, I have enough for like another 2 sets of power armor, so which I'm sure I'm going to need at some point when I inevitably get hit or killed. I think it's a pretty big milestone. We've made it now to episode 35, and I haven't been killed yet, especially by a train. To be fair, we don't have that many trains yet. So I swapped this over to productivity because we will start needing productivity modules. It looks like we have already built up. Maybe? Maybe? Where are you requesting from? Why do we, oh. I turned this off. That'd be why. Okay, so they're gonna go over there. It's gonna take a while, but they'll get it done. So we have that, and then now we need some heat pipes, which again are very expensive. I may need to collect some more resources, and then we're gonna need some more regular pipes, of course, to actually make things work. I want to try to keep the heat pipes as minimal amount as possible. But we will have to see here. So these guys are bringing me some copper. That's great. And we'll head over. I'm going to make a pump. We should be able to knock this out pretty quick, actually. Now, I don't have any fuel cell production. It's very simple, though. I suppose we should set that up first. So, we could just do it somewhere. Let's just do it down here. So I'm going to extend this out like that. I'm going to put a splitter over here like that. And you, sir, are going to make us fuel cells. So it needs 19 of this stuff with the bad uranium and 1 of the good uranium. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something a little sneaky here. We're going to take this box, and instead of wiring this one to it, because if we wire this guy to it and say like, stop once there's 10 in here, this is still going to insert some into here because it holds, I think, like double the amount that it needs to produce just in the slots here. And we do want to try to conserve this still, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to wire the input to the box. I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to say this guy, the input, can work if there is less than 50. Which is actually quite a lot for a 1 reactor setup. That's going to last like hours upon hours. So I'm gonna do that. He's gonna work, and once this does 19, he also needs a box for iron, which is fine. I'm just gonna stick some in here. It only takes 10, and that's actually 100 worth, because do recall that this makes 10 per process. So yeah, he is inserting like 3 times the amount. I really should override this to 1 for now. Not that that makes a difference, because he'll just insert 3 times anyway, I think. But anyway, so there's that. Where do we want this setup? It's not going to be huge right off, but there is actually no room anywhere. I seem to have completely blocked myself in. I mean, really, it's actually going to be quite small, this first one. We could just stick it in here. Screw it. We'll just stick it in here. Or over here, even. Let's just do it over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do it... Yeah, I'm going to do it a little bit backwards. So this guy, he's going to go like here. And so here's your reactor. So I'm going to try to explain this the best I can. I did do a tutorial specifically on this, so if you want to check that out, it is in my 0.15 tutorial list. Pretty much go over everything in detail. I'm just going to kind of not go over things quite as in detail here, just because it will take too much time, but I'll just kind of recap things. So you have your reactor. This guy burns these fuel cells, and it burns them at a rate of 1 fuel cell per 200 seconds. So it burns a fuel cell which lasts 200 seconds. But a very important note, guys, is that it uses it no matter what. Like no matter if it's drawing power, no matter if you have it connected to anything, if there's a fuel cell in here, it's using it. Okay, so that is an important note. And this is why people make these like crazy smart systems where they're measuring steam in tanks or in massive accumulator banks, and there's all these combinators. Personally, I think that's just a waste. Now, of course, people do it not to waste fuel cells, but as you can see, once you get this going, and this is only 2 of them. Like, imagine if I had even 10 of these, which really isn't that many things, really. Like, if you had, 5 or 10 of these, you're really not short on this stuff, and I feel like going to the trouble and the extra size, especially the size that it makes things to make an entire smart system, I think is just kind of pointless in my mind, but that's just me. So anyway, we're going to grab some of these, and I'm going to have a box that we're going to do this with, and I'd actually like this to be a network-based thing at some point. So we're going to insert these into here, and then we do need an export, because it's going to export the depleted ones, which we can actually later on with this research, we can actually turn it back into 3 of the bad stuff, which is a very, well, it takes 5 used up ones to do 3, but that is exactly how much you would need for this process, or essentially, because you get 2 back. That's how that's going to work. So then this guy, he essentially produces the heat and then sends it to these heat exchangers, which take the heat and water and create steam. Okay, now 1 reactor can support 4 heat exchangers. You can see these heat exchangers, wherever they went, they consume 10 megawatts of energy. This thing produces 40 megawatts of energy, essentially. And I know I said essentially a lot, but that is just what it does. Whatever. So that's how that works. So this creates steam, and then it outputs the steam to these heat pipes. Sorry, wrong. The heat pipes go to the heat exchangers from the reactor, and then the steam that's created from the exchangers goes to your turbines, which then create electricity. It'll make more sense once I build it. So we need to take these guys, and it has 3 inputs and a heat pipe input. So the inputs on the top and bottom there, where it shows the 2 little arrows, that is going to be your water input, and then the one with the big arrow in the middle is going to be your steam output. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and we're going to run I mean, there's many ways. This is like, I have much better setups, and I would obviously, once we go to a bigger mega stage, you know, I'm going to focus way more on this to try to make it efficient and actually make a pretty looking build. Right now, I'm just kind of trying to demonstrate concepts and just get us a little more extra power, because we have been on the verge a couple of times. And now that we can do this, I'd rather just do this rather than steam power. I mean, it's essentially steam power, but a different heat source. So, because the best way I like to explain it, if it still doesn't make sense, this reactor is pretty much just acting as the fuel that would go into a boiler, and then your heat exchangers are just acting as a boiler, and then your turbines are just a steam engine, but better, pretty much, right? Because this is outputting heat, which normally the boiler would create from the fuel, except that you put the fuel in here, it creates the heat, takes water just like a boiler, and outputs steam just like a boiler, and then sends it to a turbine just like a steam engine, but better. Because these turbines output 5.8 megawatts of power compared to the 900 kilowatts of the steam engine. So it's more than 5 or 6 times as good. So we take these heat pipes, and these are your connections. These are your heat pipe connections. Now, unfortunately, I've messed this up a little bit because you can't, there's no undergrounds, but you can connect. This actually has 12 connect points. It has 2 on each corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's 12 if I could count properly. Yeah, it's 12 because 4 and then 4 single ones. Or 8 and 4 single ones if I can count. I'm losing it. So you can take all this off here, off any of these, and connect it here. Now, a few more important notes, guys. When you do more than one reactor setup, with one reactor, you just have the one, obviously. So this, what I'm going to tell you, doesn't matter with just one. But once you get with more to one, there is a neighbor bonus. And you can see their neighbor bonus 0%. When you stick these right up against each other, they give all adjacent reactors 100% bonus. So if I had another reactor here where I'm standing, this would have a 100% neighbor bonus. So this would essentially be acting as 2 reactors. And then the one over here that I would have placed would also be acting as 2 reactors because it would have itself. And then this one would also give it a neighbor bonus. So creating chains of these in like 2 by N or 2 by X lines. So like, 2, as in like 2 high by, whatever, 8, 12, 4, whatever long, are usually the best ways, rather than just, like squares and with empty space in the middle don't usually work the best. And it does not apply to diagonals. So if you just make like a 4 by 4 square like this, like one here, here, and here, this one and diagonal one, and then these diagonal 2 will not give each other neighbor bonuses. It'll just be the ones around it. So quick note there. And then also, they do transfer heat between each other. So, and this actually kind of confused me for a while. So I will just explain this quickly. Say I had another reactor here, and I wanted to utilize all the heat these are generating. I would not have to run heat pipes off of this reactor and this reactor if I didn't want to. I could just run it off of this single reactor, and because the heat from the one next to it would transfer through pretty much and give this extra heat to send out. Now, I think at a point that doesn't work once you get into bigger setups, and also your heat pipes do have a maximum distance in terms of transferring enough heat. I forget what it is. It's like 30 something or 40 something. There's some Reddit posts on it. If you just Google Factorio nuclear or Factorio heat pipe distance limit or something, I found it with just one Google search. There's some really good posts on it on the length that you can do it. So we're going to input the water. It's going to get heat, and I'm going to turn this on because it takes a while for this thing to heat up. So he's going to input 1. He turns on, and you can see here the heat temperature is slowly rising. Once it gets to 500, it will actually be doing something useful. Right now, it's just heating up. It's transferring through the heat pipe. The longer your heat pipes, the longer it'll take things to kind of jumpstart because it's a longer distance it has to heat up. But once this thing hits 500 degrees Celsius, it will start actually generating steam. And then the turbines use exactly 500 degrees steam. They use it at a rate of 60 a second. You can see their fluid consumption. So we have that. We now have our 4 heat exchangers, and you can interconnect them like that. you do need to obviously make sure to connect your heat pipes to all of them. And then the steam, there's many ways you could do this. You can do it like I did with these guys and just output them on the side. You could do rows, whatever. Just for the sake of something different, I'm gonna do a row, just because I know it's actually probably less space efficient, but like I said, just for the sake of something different and to demonstrate it, I'm gonna do this. And again, these are not generating steam yet because they haven't hit their 500 degrees. So this does take a little bit of a wind-up time, but, you know, that's okay. So now let's go ahead and make, oh, there's one of those. So do that. I cannot make a row port, unfortunately. This thing is still chugging along very nicely. We have a big, long row of this built up. He's out of iron, that's fine. These will last a very long time. 200 seconds times 65 and 9 is 74. That's a lot. So we're going to actually power these. Actually, not yet. I find, especially in larger setups, I think a good kind of rule of thumb to follow is not to draw power from the setup until it is fully wound up or fully going. When Zuri and I have tested setups like these nuclear setups a lot, and even with steam ones, we found that if you draw power from it, especially a heavy load of power, like while it's trying to wind up, it creates issues and sometimes doesn't actually get to a point of working fully if you're trying to draw power before it's actually going fully. So I'm just going to let that kind of sit there and chill. It'll be in addition to this. We won't shut this down yet. And I should be able to start some more research. Let's do this so we can... yeah, right. Never mind. Let's see. What else can we get? Some rocketry would probably be good. Ooh, that gets us a nuke. Yeah, let's definitely do that. Nukes are expensive. These things are like 5,000. Might have to wait a little bit. Copper is looking iffy. Our lines are still fine. It might be almost time to tie the copper in from this guy into here. We'll have to see. And before this episode ends, I would like to go check on the nuclear. Hopefully it doesn't take too much longer. Our modules should be good. Everything else is backed up. We're checking through this research pretty quick. That lab research speed really helps. Hopefully I explained nuclear okay. If it still isn't clear to you, or I said things that didn't make sense, definitely go watch my tutorial, because the tutorial is way more thought out. Like, I literally just did this on the spot, just from the knowledge I've remembered. Because I have a specific tutorial on it, I figure anyone who, you know, really wants to learn it can go check that out. And there's other tutorials by other people as well. So hopefully, though, this did help you to some degree. And then, yeah, again, this is by no means a good setup. I'm not claiming it as a good setup, I know, you know, but it doesn't need to be right now. We're just kind of showing it off, getting a little bit of extra power on the side. This thing is actually going to just back up and break here pretty soon, which means that we need to start yoinking some of this off. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to limit this to a stack or so. We'll just save it. I could make more of these. Once I need to gather a few more materials. I would like to add more of these because, I mean, hey, the longer we have them working, the more nukes we can make. And we will actually, like, on the, you know, gigabase size scale we're going to be working with, at some point, we are going to eat through a ton of these fuel cells. Because once we start using Hopewell's thing, he did make it so it consumes fuel 4 times as quickly. Since they're 4 times as good. So instead of 200 seconds, it's 50 seconds for a fuel cell. And we're going to be having like tons of these reactors. So at some point, we will actually want to probably start buffering fuel cells. You know, they don't go bad or anything. I feel like it's almost oil, where it is actually a really good comparison. Oil in this. Once you get the Covarex process going, it pretty much is like oil in the fact that it's an infinite thing as long as you have this to feed it with. I mean, which you should if you're mining uranium, because you get this 90% of the time, but 99% of the time to be exact. Once you get this working, and you have stuff to feed it, it's essentially an infinite process, so having it not work is kind of a waste in my mind. You know, of course, it's still using resources because you're still mining the uranium to get this stuff, but I feel like buffering fuel cells is definitely actually not a bad idea. Especially when you plan to use them like a ton for a gigabase size power setup and such. I mean, yeah, we have 63 already. You know how long it took us to get this many. So that's why I waited to get this started, because now we're just floating in this stuff. You know, we're not gonna run out. So he's already blown through one fuel cell, just heating up. He's almost there, so it might be a little bit long. Come on, you can do it. This water is questionable at best. In fact, this water's just dumb. Like, even though this is not an optimized setup, this is just bugging me. I don't know why the hell I did it that way. You can do it from both sides. That was really dumb. Oh, hey, we have some steam now. I'm going to replace this heat pipe, which is just going to totally ruin everything, but... yeah, that just took some more heat out. Well, he's close. We have some steam. These guys have some steam. And they do have kind of like an internal buffer of steam, essentially. You can see here that 150. I think it goes up to 200 or 199. So this is now at 500. These guys are going up. These guys are producing steam. Like I said, I'd like to not turn it on until this actually gets fully buffered up. And what's going to happen here is that 6 of these are going to run fully. Well, not actually, because we're not drawing all the power. But if we were, 6 of these would run fully, and this last one wouldn't quite run fully, because one heat exchanger can support about 1.7 turbines. So 4 times 1.7 is like 6.8. So, and I'm rounding a little bit here, but this last one would not work completely, I don't believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So I think if we put a full draw on him, he wouldn't work completely. Maybe they changed it. I'd have to see. Yeah, no. The only reason they have full performance, I believe, is because we aren't drawing on it fully. So pretty much 1 to 4 to 7 is your best bet if you have no neighbor bonus and stuff, unless they changed stuff so they can support more, but I don't recall that they did. So we now have nuclear power on the grid, and our available amount has gone way up compared to what we're using, which is awesome. You know, that way if we run out of coal and stuff, this one setup could almost run our whole base, because when I showed you, like, at the beginning, we were only using like 45 megawatts. So even if our steam power almost entirely shut off, that would be a pretty good backup. Again, it's going to use fuel cells no matter what, but like I said, we're already floating in the good uranium. We're not going to run out anytime soon, or ever for that matter. So I'm not really worried. That's why I don't care about the smart systems for them. It's like, you know, geez, you know, we made like 65 good uranium in like an hour, and, you know, we get 10 fuel cells per thing. I don't see a reason to like be scrimping and saving on the things at this point when we can just, you know, produce 1,000 of them, you know, just like that. So anyway, I think that's going to do it for this episode, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or any thoughts you have, leave down in the comments. If you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.